I am ready to vote, so is my town. I am voting because it is my right. To me, voting is more than just electing a candidate. It is choosing the right people who have the country's best interest in mind. And these people will implement policies that will benefit everyone. If you don't vote, other people will vote for you and they'll make that decision for you. Remember, your vote, your right.
Voting is not just a right, it's a civic duty that you and I have to bring about the change that we want through our leaders. And we don't just vote for presidents. It starts with your local area councillor, then mayor, and the list goes on. On the 12th of August, I am going to stand strong and bold with a firm vote. I am deciding my leader, and you should too.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. It has been the day we've been waiting for to air our podcast and discussion today with our guest. All of you guys have been waiting for this day. You can tell from the anxiety and the text messages sent, the feedback, and the voice messages sent over our Anchor FM platform, as well as Google Podcast. Today we're in discussion with our guest, who you've been seeing for the past few days on social media, and we're glad that you guys have been able to send in feedback, and you're really excited to get to hear this conversation. And you can always be sure to send in your comments and get to participate at different levels. You can get engaged on social media platforms, as well as get to send voice messages via Anchor FM or Google Podcast. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking to Mwangala Sipumo, a third-year medical student at Eden University pursuing her Bachelor's of Medicine and Surgery. She's a humanitarian at heart, celebrating a decade. That's literally 10 years of volunteer work with different organizations. Impressive, I must say. She's also currently working as a public relations communications personnel for E-Africa Expo Limited, and also sitting on the Youth Entrepreneur Association of Zambia Committee as communications and PR executive. I'm not yet done. The list keeps on going. She sits on the board of STEM-focused organization called Women on Win, while she's serving as vice president, a seasoned upcoming public speaker and MC, and also the founder of Nayani Muntu Initiative, an organization that seeks to bridge the gap between the less privileged and their access to basic amenities, that is health, water, sanitation, and access to quality education. Ladies and gentlemen, the PR doctor, Mwangala Sipumo. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. How are you doing? I'm excited to be here. It's really exciting and humbling. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have to share my opinion on issues of national concern. Thank
you. We are really grateful to actually host you. It's a rare privilege. Looking at the basic introduction itself, I'm quite sure it took longer than a minute to just say all that. Pretty sure there's something else that we've left out somewhere, somehow. But yeah, we're really grateful. yeah, that's definitely true. So just to kickstart off the whole conversation, we are discussing how can young people prepare themselves in readiness for the August pause. We understand this August, the whole nation is going to pause, and the basic reason why the conversation or the topic today is based on young people is because young people are the majority of the nation. If anything, our guest today is a young person. Am I right?
Yes, very useful.
Great. Yes. As youthful as she is, we're able to have these interactions because of that. So, Mwangala, maybe just to kickstart off everything, as people may still be in the mood of getting to know you a little bit better before we get into the conversation about this. Tell us a little bit more about who Mwangala is.
Okay, so I think apart from what you have read from my profile, I really don't know what to say. Okay, like on a personal level, really, I don't know what to say. But yeah, my name is Mwangala Sipumo. I'm the third born of Mr. and Mrs. Sipumo, and the last one is family 3. I'm 22 years of age. apart from that, currently based in Lusaka because of school, yes, but home originally from Cabo. I've been around. I've stayed in different parts of the country because of the nature of my parents' job. I'm a Christian. Yes, I'm a born again Christian. I fellowship at New Life Christian Center. I'm also a set apart mentee. Yes, so I don't know what else I should add. I'm a bubbly person, social outgoing. I would say I'm an extrovert. Yes, and I love nice things. Yes.
You had to point that out.
Yes. Yeah, so I think in a nutshell, basically, I don't know what else I should add. But yes,
Okay,
that.
good. I don't know, but I think you didn't know too that I think this is now a conversation between third borns because I'm also the third in my family. So, but anyway,
Oh,
yeah,
nice. That's nice to know.
it's just my first time knowing that you're a third born as well. But yeah,
Really? It took you that long.
it took you that long too.
I know. Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah. So, what would you really say about the current levels of participation with regards to young people in the whole governance process, especially in these elections that are coming up in the August polls? What are your comments and reflections around that?
Okay, I think this year is pretty interesting. I think just us being a youth at a time such as this is really interesting because this is the highest, the most youthful population Zambia has ever experienced, and the highest number of youths that have ever been part of the Zambian population. So it's exciting, and I think young people are eager to take part in civic and governance issues. We've seen different people declaring their candidature for different positions, especially for the ward positions, the local government elections, as well as the parliamentary ones. So I think young people are excited. They are eager to add their voice. I think we can also make reference to the number of youth-led organizations, that are taking the role of ensuring that the government gives checks and balances. Yeah. So I think young people are ready, and they're excited, and youth are they are a creative and dynamic force of innovation, as well as, we've seen young people throughout history, participating and contributing to different important economic and political changes in the system. These young people have been catalysts of change since time immemorial. I think even the time that Ghana was getting its independence, the people that led the fight to freedom are the youth. So youths are a force to reckon with, and we're excited really to be part of this year's elections.
You greatly speak about the youth being a force to reckon with, in your own words, looking at the past involvement that they have been in with regards to changing the direction of a nation, be it with regards to its economic aspect or its political aspect as well. Do young people really have this power for them to be a force to reckon with?
Yes, they do, but at the same time, I think the environment has to be made conducive for them to be able to add their voice, because their participation must be authentic. They do have the power, but the environment should be made conducive where young people are allowed to add their voice, and they are protected as well. They are part of the policy making process as well as its implementation. So if young people are consulted, when policies are being made, so that we can have fresh minds, because there's no way really. For instance, I'd want to buy you a pair of shoes. I don't get to ask your size, your
Please
color
do.
preference, and your color preference, and what really is appealing to you, and what you need in that particular time. So I might get you shoes. I get you, for instance, a size 4. A white sneaker, but is that what you need? It's a shoe, yes, I've gotten it for you, but is that what you need? No.
I need a
Maybe you
size
need
7.
Side 7, yeah? Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Black or brown?
Black.
Black, you see. So if policies are custom made or tailor made to meet the needs of youth, then we're assured of them actively taking part in governance processes as well as adding their voice. So they are ready, but the environment should be made conducive with them being engaged throughout the whole process of policy making as well as implementation, them being consulted.
Um, that's quite a whole kind of fresh and genuine view of how to ensure that young people are readily prepared with regards to them participating in governance related issues. In the past, we've seen formulation of new policies, we've seen formulation of laws, and the one thing that would always stand out is if young people are not participating in high numbers, then they'll probably misunderstand the outcome of what will be produced after these individuals get into
Exactly,
deciding or
because it doesn't favor them. So, anything for the young people, anything done for us should be by us, you know. So for the youth, by us. So there's no retail because I think if you don't engage the youths really in the processes, it's basically manipulation, and you're trying to tokenize the youth. Like it's like the example I gave about shoes. You know, me giving you a pair of shoes. I'll go out and say I bought him a pair of shoes, but was it helpful to him? It will just be like a trophy for me. I'll tokenize the whole gifting I did, but was it helpful on your end? No. So I think the participation and inclusion should be authentic, you know. Yeah, it should be genuine participation, practicing respect for young people's views. This is also important because it safeguards even those that disclose sensitive information. It safeguards and protects them, knowing that they are protected. The system is there to defend them.
yeah. That's definitely true. With a population of about 8 million, 17 to 18 million, that is, young people still hold the majority, yet we are still having the aspect of them not being fully equipped to make the right decisions that will benefit them. If anything, young people are the ones, if they make a decision today, to probably affect their children that they're going to have tomorrow. So the enabling environment really needs young people to be equipped with the appropriate information for them to make these stand decisions, as important as they are. Going to the polls this year, the Electoral Commission of Zambia registered about 7 million voters, and we've been getting. We're now in the process of campaigns. We have about 56, if not 55 days to go.
6 days.
56 days, yeah,
to
to the polls, and it's only till yesterday that the Electoral Commission of Zambia again put a whole ban on roadshows. But before that,
days and some part of the country.
yeah, before the ban was put on rodeo shows for these political parties campaigning, young people were mostly the ones who were in the forefront with regards to being found in these road shows and participating in acts of violence and things like that. How really do you look at this situation? If we're the ones who are the majority, and if we're the ones who literally have the whole nation in our hands, how do you look at this issue where we are the ones who are also in the forefront of being found in these violent behaviors and all these other issues?
Okay, so I think first and foremost, your statistics are very correct. I think I probably did research. Yeah. I think young people, unfortunately, have been used as tools of political violence because they have nothing to do. Because trust me, you are in school, you are a student, I'm a student. So if I'm occupied with my books and work, I will not have time to take to the streets and have a panga or a stone in my hands because I'm occupied. So I think it is just unfortunate that youth have been used as tools of political violence because of poverty. And statistics show that half of our population lives below the poverty bottom line, and 45% of that population are young people, they are youth. So it's because they do not have access to education, to nutrition, to water and sanitation, quality water and sanitation. This is why they find themselves engaging in such activities. So someone is hungry and they're offered a 50 kwacha or 100 kwacha to take to the streets. Trust me, they'll do anything to make ends meet. So I think the
And the dollar is high.
The dollar is at 22 kwacha. So I think the poverty levels have contributed to young people being used as tools of violence, them not having places where they can channel their energy towards proper and economic development. So it's because of, I think I'll put the blame on poverty and them not being well informed. So like I said, if you're occupied, if we have recreation centers where young people can go and engage in sports, where young people can go and engage in science, tech, innovations, then we will not see anyone taking to the streets because they are occupied. So it's because they do not have what to do and because of the poverty level. So someone might have gone to school, but they are not employed. So what do? They need to pay their rent. They need to eat. I think they'll jump on any opportunity that presents itself as a way of making money and making ends meet.
We are heading towards the polls in August, and a critical component has been raised by our guest today. She spoke of recreation, and in as much as it has been found to be among us the least funded on the national budgets in the last 3 years, it is actually key for young people to have environments where they can just have time to relax. It also actually helps reduce violent behavior in society. Statistics actually show that in the last 3 years, if we were to equate the total market value of today, the fire tenders that government bought was more expensive than the budget allocated for the last 3 years for recreation.
Wow.
I personally think that's something that government should look at with regards to prioritizing spending on young people.
Exactly, and we know to say, with reference to the news buzz that was on social media and everywhere on our media platforms, with regards to that, concerning the purchase of the fire tenders, some people brought out quotations of fire tenders that were less. That were more affordable than the ones that were purchased at $1 million each. You see, so funds could have been diverted or would have both needs catered for, provided that they are a priority. Not them just being used for selfish gain, for political reasons. But then let's look beyond them now, because our leaders must also put into account that they will not be in these seats for a very long time, because change is inevitable. So eventually, in 5-10 years to come, someone else will have to take over. But are they ensuring that the person that's taking over from them is well equipped, to take Zambia's development to the next level, Zambia's economy to the next level? So people need to prioritize the needs of young people, because youth are the potent power of this society. I mean, we drive the economy. Look at the number of SMEs that we have. Go into town today, go to Kamala, go to City Market. The people that are pushing wheelbarrows, the conductors, the drivers, these are youth. So you will know to say youth are playing a very major role in the productivity of this country. So it's a high time that we are acknowledged and our participation is authentic, like we are just not used as tokens or part of statistics to say, oh, we have young people who have done this for young people, but let's have something to show for it. Results don't lie, numbers don't lie. So let's get to prioritize the welfare of youths, and genuinely, not for the sake of statistics. I think for me, statistics we've done well. This is why we have these numbers here. But how many people are really benefiting from whatever form of empowerment is happening? It's just a small minority, less than 1% of the youth population.
Issues have been brought out. The issues to do with poverty, data line, the issues to do with young people's participation in the whole governance issue, them being equipped with enough information. Government needs to really prioritize young people with regards to how they spend or allocate their finances to better support them, looking at the numbers of SMEs, which is another critical important with regards to how the economy is driven, the SMEs in the country, how business is done, mostly driven by young people. And a lot of issues have been discussed, and we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going straight to look at the aspects of in readiness for the pause this August. What should you, as a young person, really focus on with regards to preparation? Because all of these issues have been discussed. We now know that government, we have done good with regards to statistics, but we haven't really done much with regards to growing individuals that really contribute to national society and a lot of things like that. So we're going to take a break, and as we come back, we're going to discuss more with Wangala Sipomo on how we can prepare ourselves for the August pause.
I am ready to vote, so is my town. I am voting because it is my right. To me, voting is more than just electing a candidate. It is choosing the right people who have the country's best interest in mind. And these people will implement policies that will benefit everyone. If you don't vote, other people will vote for you and they'll make that decision for you. Remember, your vote, your right.
Voting is not just a right, it's a civic duty that you and I have to bring about the change that we want through our leaders. And we don't just vote for presidents. It starts with your local area councillor, then mayor, and the list goes on. On the 12th of August, I am going to stand strong and bold with a firm vote. I am deciding my leader, and you should too.
Welcome back. We are still discussing with Wangala Sipomo. She's still joining us, and hot discussion so far. Conversation is going on quite well. We've discussed quite a number of things with regards to young people, their current positioning in the nation, what government can do best to ensure that all these situations that have been spoken about are made better at the end of it all. And in this year, the main event for this year Zambia is having is that of the pause in August on the 12th, and young people are still majority. We're keen to ensure that we go ahead and cast our vote. So going forth, Wangala, as a young person, I think the first question is, are you voting this year?
Definitely. I've been voting for the first time, so I'm excited. I am voting.
Okay. That's good. That's really good. You mentioned you're voting for the first time. Is there a particular reason why you're voting for the first time when you would have?
I was underage.
You're underage last year.
No, not last year. Last year we didn't have elections, like the previous polls, and that was like.
Oh yeah, the last.
Yeah, I was underage.
I literally thought we vote every year.
Yeah. So
imagine.
I was underage.
Okay.
The previous year.
Okay, that's all right. That's all good. It's good you're voting. How are you as an individual preparing yourself for the August polls?
I'm just keeping my voter's card very safe. I'm keeping it safe and neat. I'm ensuring that it's not tampered with. But on a serious note, I think basically just being objective and being objective as well as ensuring that I'm up to date with the electoral guidelines as well as the information that's being given out, staying safe. Yeah, I think basically that, and listening to different manifestos of different candidates. I think that's helping me prepare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically I think being objective, listening to different manifestos, as well as keeping my voters card safe.
Okay, that's really good. You've spoken about objectivity. Tell us more in your perspective about objectivity with regards to voting this year. Because, as you've mentioned, there are different manifestos out there of different political parties. How objective really should we be as young individuals in preparation for the August polls?
Okay, I think it's very objective because at the end of the day, we need to look at which manifesto favors the well-being of Zambia, which one has the interest of Zambia at heart. In as much as we will get hyped with the songs, with the adverts, with the political environment on social media, the vibe and everything, the slogans. At the end of the day, we need to look at what's important. When all is said and done, this song will fade. I mean, we've had powerful songs prior to now. That, I mean, people have come back to. I think I've seen people on social media saying it's because of that song that I voted for this political party and now I'm regretting. It's because of that slogan, a certain slogan that I voted for this political party and now I'm regretting. And they like to blame the artist. But I think it's just the creativity of the artist that we should appreciate at the end of the day. But yes, you get to look at the manifesto. Which one favors, your which one is in line with your ideologies, and which one favors the prosperity of Zambia to the next level. Which one is realistic, Yeah, so that as well. So in being objective, that and we should not exercise biasness. Let's go a spade.
Mhm. So we should look at exactly what's obtaining on the ground, carefully analyzing these manifestos as you mentioned, and setting an objective on which one you feel strongly that this is what you need as a person in order for the country to grow.
Exactly.
We have more than we are privileged as a nation, I must say, that through our democratic processes there are more than two political parties vying, campaigning. Yeah, they're more than enough, I must make mention. And I guess as young people we get stuck on the aspect of criteria, on what exactly we should look for, because bottom line we want things to get better. Bottom line we want a few changes here and there where we feel things are underperforming, or we feel things are not being done right. So what criteria must we look at exactly when we are analyzing these so-called manifestos, or when we're analyzing the visions that these different political parties are giving us?
What criteria to use, I really don't know if there's like a formula or precise criteria, but different things appeal to people differently. We have different priorities. So for me personally, I'll look at the bread needs basket for the country. Currently, the BNB, according to the JCTR, the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection, they are saying that the BNB, the bread needs basket, is standing at 8,000.
Yeah, that's true.
And we've seen the BNB double in the past few years. So you have, like for instance, for me, I'll look at which political manifesto says that either going to maintain it or reduce it where possible. So if the cost of living can go down, this is a guarantee that we're gonna have more money in our pockets as citizens, as well as more money for us to invest back into the economy. Because currently, trust me, we've seen people literally living on hand-to-mouth basis. There's no money for investment among like the ordinary middle-income family or lower income earning family, because it's basically hand to mouth. So if I can be convinced, with proper policies, someone saying we're gonna do this, how they get to explain how they're gonna bring the BNB down, I'm okay with that. If someone is gonna guarantee me a job after graduation, or if not a job, at least a conducive environment for me to start up my own business as a young person, then I'm okay with that. So different things appeal to different people. So depending on what your area of focus is, you use that to base your criteria on, whether you're gonna go for political party A or B. So for me, I'll look at some of those things, as well as integrity. and the moral fiber of a certain group of people. Because at the end of the day, whatever decisions they make as a government would trickle down to us, the people. So we look at the moral fiber, the accountability. How accountable are these people to the people that put them in office? Are they humble enough to accept their rules? Are they willing to learn and hear from the people? So it also has to do with accountability and integrity.
You have literally left me speechless at all of this, because it's quite a lot, from the food basket to the standard of living to the proper policies, to the accountability aspect, and to all of this. I think young people should greatly look at all of these issues, because they definitely affect them. For example, you mentioned the food basket is now at 8,000.
They do affect us.
An average income earning family doesn't even get 8,000 per month of monthly earnings. That means it's not even enough.
7, probably around 4,000 to 5,000 kwacha.
Yeah, which is not enough. That's half and a little bit above. And there are expenses for, if you're taking a child to school, for example, if you have to buy food, there's other things you have to spend on, and at the end of the day, you find yourself in debt. Yeah, it's a whole mouthful. On the aspect of accountability, you mentioned the young people have to look at the aspect of how accountable the person that they're putting in power is, and how, if they're also willing and able to learn and listen from the people. This year's general elections is all about from the lowest ranking government official to the highest position in office. Should this apply to even the smallest units of councillors and mayor candidates that are running for these seats in August?
The rule of law states that no one is above the law, so at all levels. Secondly, people that are contesting at different levels, from local government to parliamentary, these are the same people that tomorrow then start vying for presidential office. Like our current president, prior to him being president, he served as MP. So if you can't be accountable now, if you can't see your credibility now as councillor, how do we then trust you with the whole country? If you can't be trusted, a small number of people, with the word, with the community, you understand? So it should be done strongly, as well as at all levels, because these are people that then become presidents tomorrow. But at the same time, if you can't be trusted in little, you can't be trusted in much. So we'll see from how you handle the affairs of your community at one level, how you have the best interest of a constituency at heart. Then we know to say, okay, now we can trust this person with the whole country. So it should be done strongly, and I think this is where we have different organs or different wings of the government now coming into play, and different stakeholders in general, from non-government organizations, the civil societies, as well as organs and bodies of the government, that the LCC coming on board to ensure that those that are not accountable are brought to book. So I think
that's definitely a mouthful of facts. Yeah. This conversation can definitely go as long as the whole day, but I can't hold you for any longer, because you should be running late. I think maybe just to conclude everything, we have individuals who are young people who have voters cards, and maybe somewhere somehow they're like, I don't know, I don't feel like voting even though I've got this important document in my hands. I think if you can just speak to, because we're all preparing to vote in August, how best can one handle voter apathy in this situation?
Like I think how is the time? Like, I love the fact that you say important document. You acknowledge how significant this document is, because this is the only time until 2026, between now and 2026, whether you vote or not, whatever decision you're gonna make is going to affect you positively or negatively. So it's better you get to vote, and you're able to own up, and we won't see you complaining. So for instance, you don't participate in voting, and should I hear you complaining to say, oh, we do not have medicines in the hospital, or the cost of living has gone high? In what capacity? And the audacity for you to complain when you had the choice to change things, or to for once control how the government is running things in the country. So I think young people need to resist from voter apathy. Them that say, no, I vote for him, he'll be eating with his family. But whether you vote for him or not, whatever decision he makes will still affect you in one way or the other, because we are all governed by this human being in this country. So whatever decision you make, it will affect you as a young person. So please do not engage in voter apathy. I mean, young people are the potent power and potent voice of this country and this nation. So it's your right, actually, a civic right that you have with vote. So utilize it, make the most of it, make the best of it. Yeah, and utilize it. Trust me, it's gonna be worth it, because I don't want anyone I don't like people that complain but can't own up for the decisions they make. Did you vote? No. Did you register to vote? No. Are you going to vote? No. But then you have the audacity to stand up and complain about the economy either performing well or not performing well. In what capacity? Because you had the opportunity to change things. So it is your right. Exercise it. So yeah, voter apathy, please don't.
There you have it. Do not engage in voter apathy, guys. I don't think it would be appropriate, or
if possible, sleep at the polling station.
Wake up at 6 and go cast those votes.
Sleep at the polling station. You don't be the first one.
Carry a blanket.
Carry a blanket, and I mean, like, you just have to vote, guys. You have to vote, even if you're gonna be busy. And I'm sure, like, most employers will understand that day. They'll probably spare a few hours to allow their employees to vote and take part, because this is something that comes only every 5 years, unless otherwise. But please turn out in numbers, vote for your candidate.
It's that special, yeah.
It's that special, yeah.
Okay, fruitful and amazing conversations with Mangala Sifumo today. She's spoken quite a great deal from the beginning of the whole podcast episode to our end note now. And I don't know if there are any last words from you, Mangala, you would love to say as we conclude our talks for the day.
Thank you so much for, I don't know, I'm a bit of a cough, but it's not COVID. I think it's just the way that it's been extremely cold in
I hope
Osaka.
not. It isn't.
It isn't. Yeah, so thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been interesting. It's been an interesting conversation. And I think in my concluding remarks, allow me to quote Seha Yilmaz, who is president of the National Council of the Swedish Youth Organizations. And he says, young people are not a homogeneous group, and we are both a target group and an actor in development cooperation. So we're just not this small group of people, a homogeneous group, having the same ideology and stuff. No, but we're both a target group, even for fostering economic development. We're a target group as well for, unfortunately, being used as tools of political violence. We're still a target group, but an actor in development cooperation. So we can be anything, depending on what environment is created. So we can be a target for economic development, for fostering peace, for fostering unity in the country, and also an actor in development cooperation. So in implementing these policies and everything we want to see, we can be that. So yeah, it's exciting that we can be anything. So we should choose to be the best, knowing that whatever decision we make today will positively impact our well-being, as a people, as young people. When all is said and done, when you go to bed, are you still going to be able to sleep peacefully? Are you going to be able to sleep at night? Are you sure that your decisions won't haunt you? So yeah, creative and enabling and conducive environment for young people to thrive should be the goal. Young people being genuinely involved in these governance and civic issues, and not just being tokenized as a small group of people, as a homogeneous group of people, or being used for the selfish gain of other individuals. Life is a bunch of choices. Endeavor to make the street and participating in this year's August 2021 general elections.
Thank you so much, Mangala, for being a part of this podcast today. We really appreciate you being here. It's been an honor hosting you. And people, if you'd love to hear Mangala again on the podcast, please do so. Send in those recommendations. Personally, I'd love to have her again. I hope she'll be open for next engagement as well. So it has been Zambia Decides 2021. And thank you so much, guys, for listening, and stay blessed.
I am ready to vote, so is my town. I am voting because it is my right. To me, voting is more than just electing a candidate. It is choosing the right people who have the country's best interest in mind. And these people will implement policies that will benefit everyone. If you don't vote, other people will vote for you, and they'll make that decision for you. Remember, your vote, your right.
Voting is not just a right, it's a civic duty that you and I have to bring about the change that we want through our leaders. And we don't just vote for presidents. It starts with your local area councillor, then mayor, and the list goes on. On the 12th of August, I am going to stand strong and bold with a firm vote. I am deciding my leader, and you should too.